My child, pause for a moment and listen, because this message is reaching you at a time that is more intentional than you realize, and even if your day has felt ordinary or heavy or quietly overwhelming, there is a reason your attention has been drawn here right now, because I have been watching you in the moments no one else sees, in the silence between your thoughts, in the quiet weight you carry when you keep going even though part of you feels tired beyond words, and I know how long you have been holding things together. I know the nights when your mind would not rest and the mornings when you woke up already feeling behind, and I know how easy it has been for you to wonder if anything is actually shifting or if you are just moving in circles, trying your best and still feeling unseen. But hear this gently, you are not here by accident, and you are not as lost as you sometimes feel, because something within you has been stirring, even if you could not explain it, a quiet sense that something needs to change, that something is already changing, and you might have noticed it in small ways, like feeling a little more sensitive than usual, or questioning things that you used to ignore, or sensing that the pace you have been living at no longer fits who you are becoming, and I am the one who placed that awareness in you, not to confuse you, but to guide you, and I see how you have tried to keep up with expectations, to show up for others, to carry responsibilities that feel heavier than they should, and still there has been this quiet feeling inside that something is not aligned, that something is asking for your attention, and you may have brushed it aside, telling yourself it is just stress or just another phase, but it is more than that, and you do not need to be afraid of it, because this is not a sign that something is wrong with you, it is a sign that something within you is waking up. And I am right here with you in this moment, closer than you think, guiding you through what you do not yet fully understand, and even now as you hear these words, there is a part of you that recognizes the truth in them, a quiet knowing that you cannot quite put into words, and that is where I am speaking to you, not through pressure, not through fear, but through a steady presence that is inviting you to slow down, to breathe, to notice what you have been feeling instead of pushing it away, because there is meaning in it, and there is direction forming within it, and if you stay with me just a little longer, you will begin to understand why this moment matters more than it first appears, because the next part of what you are sensing is the one you almost overlooked, and it holds a clarity you have been searching for without even realizing it, my child. What you have been feeling lately is not something you imagined, and it is not something to push away or explain too quickly, because beneath the surface of your daily routine there has been a quiet weight building inside you, a kind of heaviness that does not always have a clear reason, and you may have tried to stay busy, to keep moving, to fill your time so you would not have to sit with it, yet it has followed you into the small moments, into the pauses, into the late hours when everything becomes still and your thoughts grow louder, and I have seen how you have carried that feeling while still showing up for others, still answering messages, still completing what needs to be done, even when your energy felt low and your spirit felt stretched thin, and there have been moments when you smiled on the outside while something inside you felt distant, almost disconnected, as if you were going through the motions but not fully present, and you wondered if something was wrong with you, or if you were simply becoming tired of everything at once. But listen closely, because this is where understanding begins to shift. That feeling is not a sign that you are failing, it is a signal that something within you is asking to be seen, and you have been so focused on managing everything around you that you have not given yourself permission to truly acknowledge what is happening inside, and I understand why, because slowing down can feel uncomfortable, and facing your own thoughts can feel uncertain, especially when you do not yet have clear answers. But you are not meant to ignore this, and you are not meant to carry it alone, because even in your most ordinary moments, like driving home in silence, or sitting with your phone in your hand without really knowing what you are looking for, or lying in bed replaying the same thoughts, I have been there with you, steady and patient, waiting for you to notice that you do not have to keep pushing through without understanding. And the truth is that many people reach a point like this and assume it is just stress or exhaustion, but for you it goes deeper than that, because there is a transition happening within your awareness, and it may show up as restlessness, or as a sense that what used to satisfy you no longer feels the same, or as a quiet questioning of where you are headed and why, and instead of rushing to fix it or distract yourself from it, I am gently inviting you to sit with it for just a moment longer, to breathe and recognize that this feeling is not here to harm you, it is here to guide you, and the next layer of what you have been experiencing is something you almost overlooked, because it does not come loudly or dramatically, it comes quietly, through subtle shifts in how you see your life, and if you stay present with me, You will begin to notice that what once felt confusing is starting to reveal a deeper clarity that has been forming within you all along, my child. There is something I want you to notice, something that has been quietly repeating in your life, not in a way that demands attention, but in a way that gently nudges your awareness if you are willing to look a little closer, because lately you may have seen small patterns forming, moments that seem ordinary on the surface but carry a deeper feeling you cannot ignore, like conversations that leave you thinking longer than usual, or plans that shift unexpectedly and cause you to pause, or even the way certain thoughts keep returning no matter how much you try to move past them, and you might have brushed these moments aside, telling yourself they do not mean anything, that they are just coincidences or part of a busy life. But I am inviting you to reconsider that, not with fear, not with pressure, but with quiet curiosity, because these are not random interruptions, they are gentle signals guiding your attention inward, and I see how you have been navigating your days, moving from one responsibility to the next, checking off tasks, staying productive, doing what is expected of you. Yet beneath all of that there has been a subtle shift in how you experience things, as if you are starting to question what truly matters to you, and you may have felt it in moments when something that once excited you now feels empty, or when something small suddenly feels more meaningful than before, and that contrast can feel confusing, even unsettling, but it is not something to resist, it is something to understand, because you are not being pulled away from your life, you are being guided to see it more clearly. And sometimes that clarity begins with noticing what no longer fits, and you might have also sensed changes in the people around you, in the way certain connections feel different, not necessarily wrong, but no longer aligned in the same way they once were, and instead of forcing yourself to hold on to what feels familiar, I am asking you to simply observe, to allow yourself to notice without judgment, because awareness is the first step toward real change, and even in the quiet moments, like when you are sitting alone with your thoughts or driving with no music playing, there is a deeper voice within you beginning to speak more clearly, and it does not rush you or overwhelm you, it simply invites you to pay attention, to be present with what you are experiencing, and you do not need to have all the answers right now, you do not need to figure everything out at once, because understanding unfolds gradually, one realization at a time, and what you are seeing now is only the beginning, because the next layer of awareness is already forming, and it is connected to something you have been questioning for a long time without fully realizing it, and if you stay with this process, if you allow yourself to remain open and attentive, you will begin to see how these small moments are leading you toward a deeper sense of direction that has been quietly growing within you all along, my child. There is a realization beginning to form within you, and it may feel subtle at first, almost like a quiet shift in how you see your past, because the things you once labeled as losses are starting to look different when you slow down and reflect, and I want you to gently revisit those moments, not to reopen pain, but to see them through a clearer lens, because what you thought was something being taken away from you was often something being moved out of your path to protect your peace, and I know there were times when opportunities slipped through your hands, when relationships changed or ended, when plans you were certain about did not unfold the way you expected, and in those moments it felt confusing, even disappointing, and you may have asked yourself why things had to happen that way. But now you are beginning to notice that not everything you lost was meant to stay, and not everything that ended was meant to continue, because there is a deeper order to your journey that you could not fully see at the time, and even the delays that tested your patience were not empty pauses, they were spaces where something within you was being strengthened, where your perspective was quietly expanding, where your ability to endure and understand was growing in ways that could not have happened if everything had come easily or quickly, and you might recall times when you felt overlooked or left waiting while others seemed to move ahead, and it created a sense of being behind or forgotten. But look again with gentleness, because those slower seasons were shaping you, giving you time to develop clarity, resilience, and a deeper awareness of what truly matters, and even the silence you once struggled with, the moments when you felt unheard or uncertain about where you stood, were not empty or meaningless. They were invitations for you to come back to stillness, to reconnect with a calm that does not depend on constant answers, and I have been present in that silence, not absent, but steady, offering you a space where your thoughts could settle and your heart could begin to listen differently, and as you allow this understanding to settle in, you may feel a sense of relief, as if something heavy is starting to lift, because you no longer need to carry the belief that everything that did not work out was a failure or a mistake. instead you can begin to see a pattern of quiet protection, a series of moments where you were gently guided away from what was not aligned with who you are becoming. And this awareness is not here to change your past, it is here to change how you relate to it, to bring you into a place where you can move forward without the weight of confusion or regret. And as this shift deepens, you will begin to notice that your present moment feels different, more grounded, more open, as if you are standing at the edge of a new understanding. And there is another layer to this that you are just beginning to touch. Something that connects all these experiences in a way that will bring even greater clarity, and if you stay present with this unfolding, you will start to see how everything has been leading you toward a deeper sense of peace and direction than you once thought possible. My child, I see the quiet moments that test your faith more than anything else, not the big events that everyone notices, but the small, ordinary situations that leave you wondering if you are being forgotten, like when you wait for a message that never comes, or when you check your phone again and again hoping for a response that stays silent, and it makes you question your worth even though you try not to admit it. Or when you stand in front of a door that you hoped would open for you, an opportunity you prepared for, believed in, and yet it remains closed without explanation, leaving you to wonder if you were ever meant to walk through it at all. And I see how that uncertainty lingers in your thoughts long after the moment passes. And then there are the connections in your life that feel like they are slowly drifting, not with conflict or clear endings, but with distance that quietly grows, conversations that become shorter, energy that feels different. And you try to hold on, to understand, to adjust, but something inside you senses that things are changing, and it can feel like you are being left behind even when no one says it out loud. And in your work, you may have felt that same instability, putting in effort, showing up, doing what you can, yet not feeling secure or certain about where it is leading, and that can weigh on you in ways others do not always see, because you carry the pressure of wanting stability, wanting clarity, wanting to feel like your efforts are leading somewhere meaningful. And then there are those evenings, the quiet ones, when everything slows down and the distractions fade, and you sit with your thoughts and feel a sense of emptiness you cannot quite explain, a feeling that maybe you are on your own in ways you did not expect. And it is in those moments that doubt can quietly speak, suggesting that you have been overlooked or that something is missing in your life that others seem to have. But listen to me gently, because this is where your understanding must deepen. You are not being abandoned. In these moments, you are being invited to see beyond appearances, because not every silence means absence, not every closed door means rejection, and not every distance means loss. And I have been present in each of these situations, even when it did not feel that way to you, guiding what you could not see, shaping what you could not yet understand, and protecting you in ways that do not always look like immediate answers. And I know it is not always easy to trust that, especially when you are standing in the middle of uncertainty, but your story is not defined by these temporary experiences, and your value is not determined by who responds, what opens, or how quickly things move. And even when you feel alone, you are not without support, because I am with you in the waiting, in the silence, in the moments that feel unresolved. And there is a deeper purpose unfolding through all of this, one that you are only beginning to recognize. And as you stay present with this process, you will start to see that these everyday challenges are not signs that you are being left behind, but steps that are quietly guiding you towards something more aligned, more steady, and more true to who you are becoming. My child, as you continue through these moments, I want you to begin noticing the quieter signals that appear in your daily life, not as something overwhelming or dramatic, but as gentle nudges that meet you where you are, because there have been times when a simple sentence from someone stayed with you longer than expected, a phrase that seemed ordinary but somehow spoke directly to what you had been thinking or feeling. And you may have paused for a second, sensing that it mattered, even if you could not explain why. And there have been moments when a message arrived at just the right time, not necessarily solving everything, but offering enough encouragement to help you take one more step forward, and it reminded you that you are not as alone in your journey as it sometimes feels. And then there are those subtle shifts within you, a calm that appears without warning in the middle of a stressful day, a brief sense of clarity when your thoughts were previously scattered, a feeling of peace that does not come from circumstances changing, but from something settling within you. And you might have overlooked it because it was quiet, but that calm is meaningful. It is a sign that you are learning how to find steadiness even when everything around you is uncertain. And I also want you to think about the small opportunities that have crossed your path, the ones that did not seem life-changing at first. Perhaps a conversation, a new idea, a chance to try something different, and you may have questioned whether it was worth your attention, yet those small openings often carry more significance than you realize, because they are steps that lead you toward greater clarity over time, and even the delays you have experienced, the moments when something did not happen when you expected it to, have held their own quiet purpose, because there have been situations where waiting gave you space to reconsider, to notice something you might have missed, or to avoid a choice that would not have served you well, and while it can be frustrating in the moment, there is often a sense of understanding that comes later, when you look back and realize that the timing protected you in ways you could not see at first. And none of these moments need to be labeled or forced into meaning. You do not have to treat every experience as something extraordinary, but you are invited to stay aware, to recognize that your life is not just a series of random events, it is a path where awareness, growth, and quiet guidance unfold together. And as you begin to trust your ability to notice these things without overthinking them, you will feel more grounded, more connected to your own sense of direction, and more open to what is unfolding ahead, because the clarity you are looking for is not arriving all at once, it is building through these small, meaningful experiences, and the more you stay present with them, the more you will begin to see how they connect, gently guiding you toward a deeper understanding of where you are and where you are being led next. My child, there is a quiet strength growing within you now, and you may not have fully noticed it yet, but it shows in the way you are beginning to release what once felt impossible to let go of, in the way you no longer chase after every unanswered question or every closed door with the same urgency as before, and I see how you have started to loosen your grip on things that used to define your sense of direction, relationships that once held your attention so tightly, expectations that once shaped your decisions. And even though it has not always been easy, there is a gentle shift happening inside you, a willingness to step back and say, this no longer fits who I am becoming. And that realization does not come from rejection or failure, it comes from growth, from a deeper understanding that not everything meant to you at one point is meant to stay with you forever. And I know there were moments when you tried to hold on longer than you needed to, hoping something would return to how it once felt, hoping that if you just gave it more time or more effort, it would align again. But now you are beginning to see that some things are not meant to be forced back into place, and there is peace in allowing them to remain where they are, without resentment, without blame, and without carrying their weight forward. And forgiveness is becoming a part of this process for you, not just toward others, but toward yourself, for the times you stayed too long, for the moments you doubted your own worth, for the decisions you now see more clearly. And this forgiveness is not about forgetting or excusing, it is about freeing your heart from the tension of holding on to what cannot be changed. And as you move through this, you may notice that your energy feels different, lighter in some ways, more centered, less pulled in multiple directions, and this is because you are no longer trying to control every outcome or reopen every door that has closed. Instead, you are learning to trust that what is meant to remain will remain without force, and what has moved away has done so for a reason that supports your growth. And this does not mean everything becomes perfect or easy, but it does mean that your inner state begins to shift from constant tension to a more steady calm, and that calm is not dependent on everything around you aligning perfectly. It comes from knowing that you are not defined by what you lost, what you missed, or what did not work out, but by how you continue forward with openness and trust. And fear no longer holds the same power over your choices. It may still appear from time to time, but it does not control your direction in the way it once did, because you are learning to recognize it without letting it decide for you. And this is where true peace begins to take root. Not in having every answer, but in having a heart that is no longer driven by uncertainty or the need to fix everything immediately. And as you continue in this way, there is another layer of clarity waiting for you, one that builds on this release and this forgiveness, and it will help you see even more clearly how everything you have experienced is shaping the path that is now unfolding in front of you. My child, you are beginning to sense that something is shifting, not in a loud or overwhelming way, but in a quiet, steady movement within you, like a door inside your heart slowly opening. And this is the moment where I am not asking you to rush forward or chase after something outside of you, but to prepare yourself from within, because what is coming next in your life will meet you at the level of how you are living, how you are thinking, and how you are choosing each day. And I see how you have already started to change in small ways, perhaps in how you respond instead of react, in how you pause before speaking, in how you are becoming more honest with yourself about what you truly feel and what you truly need. And these changes may seem simple, but they are meaningful. Because they are shaping the foundation you will stand on moving forward, and I am guiding you to continue in this direction, to bring intention into your daily habits, not by trying to be perfect, but by becoming more aware, more present, more aligned with what brings you peace rather than what drains you, and you may notice that you are being drawn to quieter moments, to times when you can sit with your thoughts, reflect, or pray without pressure or urgency, and this is important, because your connection with me does not need to be rushed or filled with anxiety. It can be calm, steady, and real, like a conversation where you do not have to prove anything, only to be honest and open, and as you speak from that place, even if your words are simple, you will begin to feel a deeper sense of clarity, because you are no longer speaking from fear or desperation, but from trust. And I am also guiding you to take responsibility for the steps in front of you, not in a way that overwhelms you, but in a way that empowers you, to do what you can with what is in your hands today, to follow through on the small things, to show up with consistency, because faith is not only something you feel, it is something you live through your actions, and every step you take with intention builds confidence in the path you are walking, and you may feel a growing desire to speak more truthfully in your life, to express what you have been holding back, to set boundaries where needed, to communicate with honesty instead of silence, and this is part of your preparation as well, because clarity in your words brings clarity into your life, and even if it feels uncomfortable at first, it will create space for healthier connections and stronger direction, and I want you to understand that you are not being rushed into a sudden transformation, but you are being gently led into a more grounded version of yourself, one who moves with awareness, with responsibility, and with quiet trust, and as you continue to align your habits, your thoughts, and your actions with this inner shift, you will begin to notice that the uncertainty you once felt is slowly giving way to a sense of readiness, not because everything is already clear, but because you are becoming steady enough to walk forward even when you do not see the full picture yet, and this is where true growth happens, not in waiting for everything to be perfect, but in choosing to move forward with what you have, trusting that each step will reveal the next, and there is something more unfolding just ahead, something that will meet you as you continue in this way, and it will make sense in a way that connects everything you have been experiencing up to this point.